going behind the old Iron Curtain and into a rugged and difficult business.
This one's jammed. It's blasted me.
To see how they revive Soviet-era locos
Look at this machine!
and cash in under the crushing demands of a 24/7 cargo operation. It's all about mind-blowing mechanics
Let the sparks fly!
and do-or-die deliveries.
You fall in there, you're a goner.
Watch it all year on Impossible Repairs.
My name is Mike Davidson.
Coming around!
This is so great.
I've worked aboard and inside some of the most incredible machines on Earth.
This thing is pretty badass.
Here we go.
Now I'm going back in,
It is tight in here. I just love it.
digging into the guts and bolts of these machines to discover how the hard hat heroes who keep things running
Power's on. Nice and easy.
make it all happen.
You've got a problem here.
This is Impossible Repairs.
Welcome to Lithuania and the port city of Klaipėda.
It's a fast-paced world. And here in Lithuania, a country that was once part of the USSR, a heavy-duty business is always on the move. Potash, a potassium-rich fertilizer used on farms everywhere. Trains run a constant supply of it from Eastern Europe into this port, packing it into massive ships that take it to over 100 countries worldwide.
It's a process that just doesn't stop.
It's a gritty business, but it's worth millions of dollars. Almost 18% of global potash production comes through this port. And at the heart of it all is Lithuania's national rail service, LTG Cargo, along with their port partner, GG Rail and the Potash Express. The 60,000 people whose jobs depend on the port need these companies to keep the potash coming.
These are fertilizer wagons that have gone through Lithuania from Belarus. We're gonna open them up where it flows down to conveyor belts.
Mes 10 vagonų priekite turim, kad jie matytų visą krovą. Ir ant 5.
I'm here just as they're ready to unload 51,000 tons, worth about $14 million.
Can I open this one? Yeah. There it goes.
A quick crank over the intake grate, and gravity does the rest.
We're unloading right now. This is the fertilizer coming out to where? Where does it go down here?
It's on conveyor belt, which moves it underground.
Sometimes the potash sticks to the insides of the wagons, so they work it free with an air cannon.
Smashing the wagons to get the fertilizer out.
A few hits of mechanical muscle keeps things flowing.
It's all about speed here.
Yeah.
It's a constant flow of cargo. There's 1 million tons a month that go through this port.
Exactly.
The potash is then directed to 3 ship loaders, massive machines linked to the conveyor system that bring it up and spit it out, up to 1,500 tons an hour.
70 tons of potash per wagon. It comes out as kind of warm in there, actually.
And the ships take it away as fast as it comes in. But they can only unload 1 wagon at a time, so a small problem can hold up dozens of trains.
I think this one's jammed. The hatch is jammed. They have to open it up manually here somehow to keep this going and stop the entire train.
When all else fails, you gotta pour on the elbow grease.
Yeah, it's not opening. Oh, there it goes. All right, we got it.
Luckily, that was a minor delay, but any breakdown on the tracks can stop the ships and disrupt the entire multi-million-dollar business.
We will load 51,000 tons in this ship. If to talk about not railway wagons but trains, it's slightly more than 12 trains.
It shows you the volume you need. The trains are just non-stop.
It's true. When ship is staying in the port, they are losing money. They earn money when they are moving.
New ships come for potash nearly every day, so there's huge demand. But the Lithuanian link to the supply starts 400 kilometers away. So I'm traveling here from the port in Klaipėda at the edge of the Baltic Sea to the Vaidate train terminal next to the Belarusian border, where the potash begins its journey to the port. And I get a warm welcome.
It's here in Vaidate where all the action starts. Trains roll in from all across Eastern Europe, loaded with cargo. Whoa! He just blasted me. I think he blasted me on purpose.
I'm here to see what it takes to get these wagons packed with potash through the flatlands of Lithuania.
There we go. Well, that brake line's good to go.
Freight has been running on these lines since the 1860s, and Vaidate has the largest cargo railway station in Lithuania.
It's here where all the containers are rearranged onto new wagons to head out across the country.
But before these wagons can leave, the locomotives that pull them have to be repaired at the LTG Restoration Depot, 16 kilometers away.
Look at this place. Look at the size of this. Look at that.
Much of LTG's fleet was built before the collapse of the USSR, and some of them don't look like they've changed much.
That Soviet-era history is just scattered across Lithuania. It's so cool.
Look at this beauty. These trains are so old that there aren't spare parts left anymore for them. You have to machine new parts from scratch with the old manuals.
The LTG fleet is in the midst of a massive upgrade.
We have to know everything because this is where they manufacture the parts needed.
Check this out. Check these newly refurbished wheels right here. Look at the shine on those. Just love it. You can even hear it. Listen to that.
All of the locomotives are being reworked, even the newer ones.
This specific locomotive is the 23rd to arrive for the overhaul.
This one's only about 13 years old, but it's getting 2 new bogies, the structures underneath that hold the wheels.
The parts were changed, so now we are going to lift the locomotive up, rotate the trolley 180 degrees, and then roll it under the locomotive.
Right here. So we're gonna lift it up? Yeah, here we go.
The locomotives are designed so that rather than replace everything,
Lifting jacks 1 through 4.
you can lift up the cab, pull out the bad part, and bring in a refurbished frame.
We ready, guys? Rolls pretty smooth.
All of the components have to line up perfectly, so they can't rush any part of the operation.
Right on the mark. This is fantastic. You can see right up into the guts of this thing. Now we're lowering down 113 tons of locomotive back down on top of this set. It'll lock in place with that knuckle. So the guys are just shifting this set back and forth slightly just to make sure it hits the sweet spot.
Bullseye. It's a perfect fit.
The new set of bogies is in place.
The train I'll be riding is getting ready to go, so I'm heading back over to the tracks. This locomotive has already been to the shop, but once it's hooked up, it still needs a safety check.
Okay, let's go.
Driver Vitalia Zila and the maintenance crew are inspecting the train before we leave.
We have to check to make sure there is nothing wrong.
It starts down under.
We check the wheels to make sure they are in good condition.
Each wheel is a 226 kilogram steel disc, but they can get run down, and even the smallest crack can cause a crisis.
Right, we're checking for bumps here. If it was a problem, you'd see pitted marks on this.
Over time, metal wheels can develop flat spots due to wheel slip on the rails and the extreme forces of accelerating and braking. This can cause pitting or cracks. If not properly maintained, bad wheels can give out at high speeds. So these pre-journey checks are essential.
If there are pitted marks on these wheels, we'd have to switch out the wagon because those pitted marks would be bad on the track.
These wheels are perfect. So far, so good. But there are still dozens more wagons to inspect.
If the right moves aren't made here, things can be catastrophic down the line.
Today we're hauling 67 wagons filled with potash and other goods worth $1.2 million. It looks rugged, but assembling and securing the train is a delicate operation.
What are you looking for?
Brake blocks have to be pressed in. brake cylinders have to be working, because if one of the wagons gets detached, it has to stop. They shouldn't be able to go on their own.
The brake valves are opened and closed using air pressure. This is how the brakes are released and engaged. Right now, not all of the brakes are engaging properly, so the train can't leave.
We've checked it and it lit up. That means there is a blockage in the brake lines.
So our train driver is checking the brakes. Last-minute inspections before we depart.
The maintenance crew has found the blockage halfway down the train, so we're clearing out the air in the brake lines.
So, you grab this hose, 3 seconds. 3 seconds again.
When the air releases, the brakes engage.
And now the third one is for 80 seconds. You have to let all the air come out of the brake line. You can feel the pressure on this, the air coming out. You have to have a really good grip on it. There we go.
Now they pump air back through the brake lines, so the driver can see if the blockage is gone, and we can get moving.
Everything is working again, and I'm back in control.
Sure enough, success.
Problem solved. The brakes are good now, the pressure is there.
And we're off.
Green light, here we go, the journey begins.
From here, this massive load is rolling 400 kilometers past the lakes and farms of Jasle, through the junction station of Radviliškis, and the hills of Plungė, as the train heads for Klaipėda Port near the Baltic Sea. At an old-school top speed of 80 kilometers per hour, the pace is slow and steady.
We are coming up to the steepest turn in Lithuania.
We're approaching one of the sharpest turns in the entire route, right here.
Even at this speed, sharp turns and heavy cargo can be a dangerous combination. As we come round the bend, there's trouble. It's an all-stop on the tracks.
It's not supposed to be red.
We're coming to an emergency stop right now. We need to stop immediately.
This is not routine.
It rarely happens.
We're stopped in between stations, red lights up and down the tracks.
Aš mašinistas traukiniu sustojau prie įleidžiamos žaslių stoties.
Could be an accident up ahead. It could be a technical issue, we don't know. And we're in the middle of the tracks, we're between stations.
With over $1 million worth of cargo waiting to head to the port, and no word about what's going on ahead of us.
It's not a good place to be.
We've come to a grinding halt on our way to the Baltic Sea.
The Lithuanian railway is shut down in this region.
Stranded. Our driver is asking the control center for permission to proceed through these red lights
Dėmesio.
to one of the side rails at the station ahead.
Mašinistas traukinio 261 klausim prie įleidžiu.
The control center is a high-tech contrast to the grinding metal of the rail yards. But it's essential for keeping Lithuania's 1,800-kilometer rail network running.
It's our daily task to make sure that cargo is delivered as fast as possible. There are no excuses.
There's intense pressure to keep the trains moving, even when there are problems.
Carriers are pushing us as well, asking why? It's money. Yes, money is everywhere.
Moving the train may seem like a simple choice, but they have to be careful. If the train's too long, the outcome could be deadly. It's happened before, here in Jasle, at this very station. In 1975, a tank car carrying fuel took the sidetrack at Jasle station to make way for a passenger train. But its last car protruded into the live track. The collision killed 20 and injured 80 more.
The system there did not do its job as it was supposed to.
Nobody wants a repeat of that horrible day, so they're taking extra precautions.
We're moving, we're going through the red light. We got special permission from the control center to proceed just to get us out of the way off the track for safety.
The speed is reduced to no higher than 20 kilometers per hour. We are watching the position of the switches so that everything goes smoothly.
As we pull into a safe zone, the control center identifies the problem. A car barreled through the railroad crossing gates and damaged the signaling system. It's causing trouble for everyone on the tracks.
You can see all the way down at the end, another train is queuing up behind us. They're bringing in all the trains safely into these stations up and down the track until this issue is resolved.
A 200-wagon traffic jam is slowly spreading and clogging the rail lines. All they can do is sit and wait as time eats away at their profits. As a unit mobilizes to fix it, I'm joining a very different kind of repair crew on another area of track.
Let's go look. Looks cool. Look at this machine! This is a rock cleaner!
It's better known as a ballast cleaner, and its job is to sort and clean the rocks, also known as ballast, that hold up the tracks.
The tracks were not stable. To fix this, we have to clean and replace the ballast.
Good ballast has sharp edges, locks into place, and holds the rails firm. But over time, it gets soiled and degrades, grinding into smaller, smoother pieces that can destabilize the rails.
It's picking up all the ballast, all the rocks from underneath the railway ties and the tracks. It's spitting out the small stuff and keeping the larger rocks because you need those a certain size to keep the ties and the track stable.
Taip, Andriu, klausau. Iki kur davajam 10 piketas.
Let's get in here and take a look at the guts of this machine. Look at the teeth on this thing. Whoa, this is what grabs the rocks. Right there, look at these suckers. The teeth that pick up the rocks and then feed them through this belt up to the top where they get sorted and then they spit out the small stuff on the other side.
After it spits out the smooth rocks, we've got space to fill.
We'll pour and add the ballast wherever needed, and we will pack it down.
The final part of the process, add in more rocks, get that ballast filled in. There you go.
And the clock is always ticking.
In 45 minutes, the traffic starts. The window is tight. We need to make 500 meters of repairs, and we need to make it in time.
Finally, the ballast is packed under the ties to keep the tracks in place, under the weight of a 5,000-ton train.
Now the tracks will be like new.
The repair is a success.
Looks good.
Back at the rail crossing that stopped our cargo, the signaling system has been repaired. When the system is damaged, it defaults to red. Fortunately, there were no injuries. Now the train is moving forward without me. That's okay though, because while Vitalius continues the journey, I'm jumping ahead on the line. To Dragista, a service station here at the south entrance of Klaipėda Port. Here, wagons carrying potash fertilizer and other goods are dropped off by LTG mainline locomotives and moved to the unloading station by port partner GG Rail. GG Rail owns and operates a fleet of Soviet-era locomotives built to move bulky cargo quickly through the port. They call these trains the Potash Express. And I'm getting a behind-the-scenes look at how crews prepare them for the millions of dollars in fertilizer coming their way each day.
Now this is a workshop. Everything you need to get these Soviet locomotives back on the tracks.
To keep up with demand, GG's aging locos are under constant maintenance.
This is a Potash Express with GG Rail. We're gonna go underneath and take a look. How's it looking?
let's come here. We need to install navigating devices.
Refurbished in Latvia and hauled here to the GG depot, Potash Express diesel-electric locomotives are in the midst of a major upgrade.
We've opened up this housing here that shows the brushes which transfer the power from this locomotive to the wheels. It's really cool hardware.
The locomotive's diesel engine drives a large generator which produces electrical power for the train. That power is fed to a number of electrical traction motors that turn the wheels on each axle. Inside, electricity transfers to the commutator, a device that powers those traction motors and gets the gears and wheels spinning, so the locomotive can haul up to 5,000 tons of cargo.
The Potash Express locomotives are beasts. They produce about 6,000 horsepower. You need that power to get all that heavy cargo moving.
To control that much power, these locomotives also need some electronic upgrades.
Here I have what you can call a speed radar.
In the Soviet era, train speed had to be monitored by the driver. Today, those systems are automated.
So if you have too much speed on the rails...
And we cannot stop this train.
Cannot stop it, yeah. This is a very important part to help modify this locomotive, right, the speed sensor. And then they're waiting for this one, right?
It should be on the rail, not standing here.
They finished their upgrades without losing the locomotive's old-school charm. That's our cue to put this beast to work.
We're getting on board a Potash Express.
The port's constant flow of fertilizer never stops. And while we're waiting for the 67 wagons we started with to arrive, there are 64 other wagons waiting for a pickup. It'll be up to our driver Linas to get the 4,500 tons of fertilizer in this load safely into the port. He's had some intense training, but Linas is a rookie driver.
This is first time, and I'm first driver.
It's your first time driving the
yes.
Potash Express?
Yes, first time, and all first time we go.
Ships are waiting for the fertilizer, so Linas and his crew can't screw this up.
Getting the potash from the trains onto the ship is a complicated process, and it has to move quickly. What's happening here? Is this our cargo?
Yes, this is our.
Linas's first haul is worth a little over $1 million.
Okay, let's go.
So the stakes are pretty high.
Okay, we're gonna attach the wagons here.
The knuckles of the couplers have to join, but still be flexible enough to bend around corners.
Is there a problem here? It's not connecting? It didn't connect. We're gonna try again.
Over time, wear and tear can prevent them from closing properly.
Hopefully it's just an alignment issue.
If not correctly secured, an uncoupled wagon could lead to runaway cars and even collisions. This is a dangerous operation, so they have to be careful. Got it.
Third time's a charm.
It'll take every bit of this locomotive's 6,000 horsepower to get these wagons to the port. But Linas can't test that power yet. There's an issue with the brake lines.
Tvarkoj, yra. Vaidai, tu girdi mane? I try to resolve problem. Go around machine.
There's no pressure? The brake lines aren't releasing the pressure, which means there could be a leak.
For the brake lines to work properly, air pressure must flow from the locomotive through the brake lines of all 64 wagons.
Šiaip gerai, galim bandyti stabdžius.
They have to check every connection on the train, which is nearly 2 kilometers long.
When I disconnect this, it should release air.
The problem could be anywhere.
There's some sort of problem with the brake lines. I don't think they're getting air pressure through. This train can't go anywhere.
With ships ready and waiting, this breakdown has Linas in the hot seat. There's a brake failure on the Potash Express.
They're problem solving right now, trying to figure it out.
Vaidai neturi moro, nežinau, kažkas atsitiko. Reikės kažką pažiūrėti.
When trains don't move, it still costs the shipping companies money for fuel and people while they wait. That can add up to tens of thousands of dollars every hour.
I'm heading back up to the locomotive to check in with the locomotive driver to see what he's doing to find a solution to this fast.
Linas is talking with his supervisor to diagnose the problem.
Vaidai, šiuo metu neturim oro, nežinau, reikės žiūrėti, kažkas atsitiko, kažkur užsikišo. Pažiūrėsim.
The brakes are controlled by air pressure in the brake lines. When pressurized air goes through the lines, the train can move. But if a brake line gets blocked for any reason, the valves that control the flow of air to the brakes switch to a reserve air system in the wagons and lock the brake pads onto the wheels. It's the kind of problem that happens on trains often. So Linas is trying a familiar tactic.
Yes, I recharge all system.
A full system restart, and then clearing the air in the lines. If this doesn't work, this train isn't going anywhere.
You try again, you recharge it, and then you get that pressure again.
Yes.
So Linas primes the pump one more time. Linas and wagon checker Baidos saved the day.
You fixed it. You repaired it.
Yeah.
All right, right here.
With the brake lines pressurized, the train is fully functioning again, and we can finally depart.
We're heading to the port with a full load of fertilizer. We're gonna take it in and offload it.
It's a great finish to Linas's first day on the job. But I'm not done yet.
Full speed ahead, let's go, let's get out of here.
I'll have to douse myself in caffeine because I'm gearing up for a nighttime track repair. Over 150,000 wagons grind along these rails every year. And that takes its toll.
What do you guys have to get done tonight?
Replacing the old rail with a new one. It has chips on the sides, maybe cracks.
The job tonight is to cut out the damaged sections of track, weld in new ones, and then secure them in place. With trains rolling into the port 24/7, this crew has 3 hours to change out 30 meters of track. Just enough time to get the job done.
Do it fast, because trains have to get through here.
Even though these rails weigh about 59 kilograms per meter.
And this one out.
Moving them with heavy machinery and locking them into place is a surprisingly delicate process.
Worst case scenario, I mean, if trains keep traveling over that, what can happen?
The worst scenario will happen, the derailment, which is gonna stop the coming cargo into port. It's gonna cost a lot of money, and we cannot afford that.
When time is short, tension is high.
It's just a grind doing this work.
But this crew operates like a rail replacing machine.
2 new rails in place.
You know it, know it.
These guys are working quickly, but some of their tools can't take the stress.
Nu jau baigia tvarkyti.
Ne, mėginu.
Spyruoklė veikia.
Yep.
Nedara.
Spyruoklė.
After they cut the old tracks out, the new rails need to have holes cut into the sides so they can be secured. That's what this machine, a rail drill, does. But it's broken.
What's the problem with this? What are you trying to repair?
Drill isn't starting up. We can't connect the tracks together.
The rail drill gets started with an old-fashioned crank, like a pull cord on a lawnmower.
The rope snapped. We're trying to repair this starter engine.
It's a small repair, but hard to do in the dark, especially when the pressure is on.
Are you guys gonna make it? To get the trains through?
We'll try to do our best to make it happen in time.
If not, the trains pay the price.
We can't get through and the tracks won't be finished.
And these guys need to fix this fast. There are trains that need to get through.
They repair the rope and set the crank casing in place.
So a few more bolts and that's it.
Okay, this is the moment.
Yeah.
Right. Working.
Yeah, perfect.
You've been working at this for an hour, and you got it. All right.
We're gonna start cutting the rails.
They're cutting out the final section, while the rail drill bores holes in the new pieces.
Let the sparks fly! They're cutting the rails to fit them into place.
They lock in these final sections of the track, and just in time.
These guys are champs. They worked hard, they got the job done, they made that repair. All right, good stuff. Got the job done. Nice work. Nice work.
It's a new day. The potash train we started with dropped its cargo just outside the port late last night. From here, shunting locomotives, beefy engines made to haul massive loads short distances, make their move.
These shunting trains are the hardest working locomotives in the fleet. They hook up to the cargo that's coming into the port. They're working non-stop.
Shunting locos like this one are designed for maneuverability around the port.
We're hooking up to those wagons. Yep.
We're connecting with our load. A mix of wagons filled with potash and others containing diesel fuel and assorted cargo.
We are going to hook up the brake lines and hoses. We'll release the brakes and we'll be ready for the port.
For big, bulky cargo, these locos are the best machines for the job.
It's got the brake line. We're good.
Finally, we're heading to the unloading station, where cargo ships are ready and waiting.
And our main job is to present the cargo as soon as possible so the companies can load the goods in and send them off to other clients.
But as we approach the port, trouble is pouring down.
It's raining, so we can't load at the moment.
Heavy rain can turn potash into mud. So this train has to wait.
We are waiting for good weather, and we will try to load them as quickly as possible.
Port foreman Sidas Skrialos has called for the crews to stop loading the ships and redirect the incoming potash to a 23,000 square meter warehouse, which is a little longer than a football field. This keeps the trains moving for now. But with so much potash coming into the warehouse and none going on to the ships, it's filling up fast.
This is one of 10 terminals that has the potash that feeds the ships. There's over 30,000 tons of potash in this one terminal.
Loaders like Antanas take it from here and dump the potash into underground pits.
After I dump the fertilizer into the pits, it goes down onto a bunch of conveyor belts and onto the ship.
The warehouse stores are used as a reserve. If the rail flow of potash stops, these guys step in. It's a hectic and potentially dangerous process.
This is really unstable. It could just collapse at any time and smother you.
So the loader is equipped for battle, just in case.
This loader has armored glass and there is an oxygen apparatus in case something happens. This job is very intense.
While the potash team waits for the rain to stop, I'm going over to GG Rail's maintenance depot, where crews are hustling to get another shunting locomotive back on the tracks.
If you're looking for impossible repairs, you've come to the right place.
On average, the port of Klaipėda moves over 100,000 tons of cargo every day. So this fleet of shunting locos needs to be ready.
You fall behind on this, and the port just won't be able to keep up with the volume of cargo going through.
Alvydas and his crew are trying to replace the bogie on this old locomotive.
We are now going to lift the whole diesel locomotive up.
This is a 1970s Soviet-era locomotive that's being completely overhauled. There's a whole fleet of them still going, but it requires constant maintenance. These are temporary bogies, an old set that they'll roll out to bring in a newly refurbished set.
The crews move fast, but they still have to be meticulous.
There, they got it. There you go. It's finally out. Out with the old, in with the new. Looks like it's ready to go. Then we can roll it in. The bogey's secured. Time to lift it up.
This bogie tips the scales at about 25 tons. So I'm jumping in the loader to do some heavy lifting.
You guys ready? Okay. So we have to separate the frame from the wheels a little bit more. We're clearing it. This is so cool. taking this frame right off. Okay, we're gonna go drop this bogie frame.
It's a tricky operation, and thankfully, I didn't mess things up.
We got it. We did it. The smallest adjustments start to swing this thing, so glad we got it over here. Now, we can put in those new bogies.
It's time to get surgical.
We're good, we're gonna bring it down.
The body of the Loco needs to drop right into the bogie frame, but it's not lining up.
That center post underneath, that's the main connection point for the locomotive to the bogies, and it's off by just ½ an inch.
The old doesn't fit with the new. Call it a generation gap.
They can't figure out how to push it over, though. They tried the jacks.
The problem is they can't see what's blocking the connection, so it's like blindly threading a 113-ton needle.
½ an inch feels like a mile right now.
Nice.
Changing out the wheels on this locomotive is causing major problems.
We're inches away from completing this, and it's not lining up.
Gal bandyti su rankenom biškina?
They're figuring out a solution, but it's stopped this process. They tried the jacks, they lifted it up and shifted it over, so it got it closer.
The mechanics are baffled and searching for a simple solution.
Right now, we want to push the frame to the side so that it mounts onto the post in the middle, but it's bent to the side, and we need to push it so that it's able to slide in place and then lower it.
Shunting locomotives like this one move freight short distances, and there's a shortage of them at the port. So getting this one back on the tracks is critical.
It's very close, it's that much.
Anyone who's ever assembled something themselves can understand the frustration of parts not fitting. Without any other options, perseverance is key.
It's lined up, it went in. I think they got it. We got it?
Okay.
We're good.
Pasižiūrim visus tuos išliaužiklius, kad viskas atitiktų.
The bogie finally lines up.
They pushed it over with those hydraulic jacks. They just got it by like that much, but it fit in finally.
Mission complete.
All right. Good job, guys. Were you a little worried, a little concerned? I was a little concerned.
With the new bogie firmly in place, Alvydas and his crew can get this shunting loco back on the tracks, and just in time. The rain has stopped, and port foreman Sidus has given the go-ahead to get the potash moving.
3 valandas gal bus laiko tarpas, o paskui viskas. Tęsim krovą į laivą.
So we'll continue loading now because the rain stopped. This ship has been here too long already, and a new ship needs to come in.
The potash is going again. And Vito and his crew are ready. They have to move quickly, but also safely. Unloading these fertilizer wagons is a literal high-pressure situation.
What's happening on top of the wagons right there?
Before we will start unloading, we must open the top of the railway wagon because of no air inside, and the railway wagon will be smashed.
During transport, all hatches are closed, creating a sealed compartment that protects the fertilizer from moisture on its journey. They unload the potash from the bottom, but if the top hatches remain closed, the air pressure can't be equalized, creating a vacuum effect that can cause an implosion, buckling and crippling the wagons. Opening the seals on the top releases the pressure inside the containers.
Let's open some hatches. All right, just cut this wire off. There's the potash. You don't want to fall in there.
The loads are dense and unstable to walk on, so if you fall in, you could sink and suffocate.
I'll have to watch my step, but you got to move fast at the same time. That one's done.
Now that things are up and running,
I'm gonna go in and take a look at the top. Up the ladder we go.
a system of conveyor belts brings the potash up from underground and feeds it into these giant ship loaders, whose extendable arms direct the loads into the ships.
All right, we made it.
There we go. Best view in the port right here.
The skies have cleared up, making this one heck of a vantage point.
Whoa, look at that. They're filling up 5 cargo holds. In total, 50,000 tons will go out on this ship. All the way to the top and look down right into the cargo hold.
Don't jump.
Don't jump. You fall in there, you're a goner. Okay, it looks like cargo hold number 2 is almost filled up. We move on to the next until they have all 5 filled up. We can take a look at this one way down there.
But just as we're reaching the ship's last 3 cargo holds, there's a problem.
Edvardai, turim problemą su vienu iš transporterių.
The conveyor stops cold.
One of the conveyor belts is broken and stopped the loading, which is not what they want at all.
Reikia kuo greičiau nusiųsti mechanikų brigadą, kad išspręstų problemą, galėtume toliau krauti laivą.
So I'm headed into the bowels of the port, known as the pit.
When the wagons arrive with the potash, they unload and it comes down here before getting distributed across a system of conveyor belts to the warehouse and the ships.
This conveyor system is made up of a series of rollers and metal scrapers that are chained together to haul the potash up from the pit. One weak link can stop the entire operation.
The chain conveyor started to make clunking sounds. We'll have to check out what happened.
Yeah, this one's jammed right here.
They found the problem. A scraper used for dragging the potash up the conveyor line has broken off the chain.
Yeah, let's pull it right out. Oh, it's cracked right here. This one is just beat up. Look at that. It's toast.
It lifted up and snapped off. One side was released and one was left hanging on one end.
Okay, so we got this out of there. We'll repair this and get this working.
Yes, we have to work on this quickly because the ship is being loaded and we don't have much time.
Like other big machines, small problems can lead to impossible repairs if they go undetected. We've safely secured the new scraper to the conveyor chain, so we're ready to get the system moving again.
We will now put it to work.
Sounds good?
Yeah.
All right. It's good.
Breathing the dust in here is crazy. I can't wait to get out of here.
We're done with the pit. So the chain conveyor is working. The potash can start rolling again. So we're gonna get out of here, get back up top, see these cargo ships loaded up.
The conveyor system is operating at full capacity again, and the final tons of potash are being loaded. So I'm heading out to see our shipment set sail.
Okay, we're approaching bulk cargo terminal to the vessel which is fully loaded.
For the people who work here, the railway is a vital part of this thriving operation.
The entire system is interconnected, and it should work very smoothly in order to serve such a big amounts of cargo.
It's been a demanding journey, but it's all in a day's work for the folks at the port, LTG Cargo, and GG Rail's Potash Express.
It's in our blood, let's say. We are at the crossroads of international trade.
We've traveled across Lithuania and seen the resilience of these crews that keeps this rail network and locomotives running. And here at the port where workers load these massive ships ready to set sail through the Baltic Sea and beyond. It's been an eye-opening experience to see the strength of these machines and people that make it all happen.